In this video, I'm going to tell you what's going to happen in the next couple of months so that you can be ready for your 2020 property tax protest. I've also got an update for you on what happened with the Tarrant County Appraisal District Board of Directors election. I asked many of you to send emails for that. You responded. I've got the results for you. And I also have an absolutely scandalous real estate market update that you don't want to miss. Before I get into anything else on this video, first I just have to acknowledge our clients and our team. Not only did we protest for more than 16,800 people this past year, but we also helped write a property tax reform bill with State Representative Matt Krause and his incredible team. And we also played an integral part in the Tarrant County Appraisal District Board of Directors election because we want to help you guys individually with your property taxes, but we're also trying to help solve the problem on a bigger scale from a statewide and local level. And it's only because of the clients that have chosen to use our expert team of realtors to help them buy or sell houses that make any of this possible. It's the transactions that we close, that's where the revenue comes from that funds everything that we do. And so I just have to thank you for choosing to work with our team. We don't have one single review less than 4.9 stars, and you can count on us, I guarantee it. And I also have to thank our team who does so much hard work to help make all this possible. Thank you so much. Here we go. To prepare for your property tax protest in 2020, the only thing you have to do is wait. That's right. You can't do anything until they send out the value notices, and that will happen sometime within the first 2 weeks of April. If we protested for you last year and you're registered for us to protest for you again this year, it's going to probably take 2 weeks for us to get those to you because we have to digitize them and then we'll send them out through email. And we'll have specific instructions on everything regarding your protest at that time. If you want to get on our list and you're not already on our list, then you can sign up right now. It's freepropertytaxprotest.com, or we'll also make more videos available whenever it's time to protest. If you want to do it yourself, we don't care how you protest, we just want you to protest. So that is that. Now I want to talk to you about what happened with the Tarrant County Appraisal District Board of Directors election. A couple months ago, the Tarrant County Appraisal District had an election for their Board of Directors, and we saw some issues with the election process, and we saw that there was a big push to re-nominate, re-elect the current board of directors, the incumbents, which if that would have happened, then there would have been absolutely no change over the next 2 years, and we see some changes that need to be made. So we got involved and we asked for your help, and you guys responded in a big, big way. It was mind-blowing to hear what happened. I talked to some of the people that received the emails that you guys sent out. Y'all sent out thousands upon thousands of emails, and the people had to delete all of them. I talked to the people that were in charge of the delete button, and I just can't thank you enough for what you've done. And wouldn't you know it, people tend to behave a little differently when they know someone's watching, and that's exactly what happened. They knew that you guys were watching what was happening with that election, and wouldn't you know it, we got 3 new people elected to the board of directors. We got Catherine Wildman, Rich Diot, and Gary Lasada, and I've been to every board meeting since they got elected, and they're doing a great job. They're asking very difficult questions, holding the appraisal district accountable. They're identifying issues, identifying things that seem to be issues that actually aren't issues, and they're getting to the truth of what's going on at the appraisal district and trying to find ways to improve how things are being run up there. And so it's great to watch. It's actually pretty entertaining if you ever want to go to a board meeting. But it's great. And I also want to say that the appraisal district has been very cooperative. They're providing data and information, and they're answering the hard questions. And in some cases, they're staying after hours to be able to do this and really doing what they can to try and help. Now, there is some resistance to change, so we may need your help in just making sure that they know, or that the locally elected officials are paying attention to what's going on. But I also am very optimistic, and I'm talking to a lot of the people involved in the process, and the appraisal district, I think, is eager to be to just be the best they can be. And so I'm looking forward to the future with that. I also have a personal update about Randy Armstrong. If you paid attention to any of the videos that we did or articles written over the past couple months regarding the election, then you'll know I mentioned him by name. The reason was because of a conflict of interest. He served as a school board president and is a high-ranking individual employee at the appraisal district. Well, that's not a new issue. We knew about that for months. There was actually a law passed that eliminated that conflict of interest. And so that was exposed months ago. Randy was quoted in the newspaper. And the thing that I want to mention to you today is that I've actually talked with Randy. I talked with him about his quotes in the newspaper and about his involvement in the election. And I just think it's important for the truth to be known that he was misquoted in the newspaper. He said the moment that law was passed, he fully intended on stepping down when it went into effect. It went into effect in January. He stepped down in January, and he has no ill intent from what he has told me directly from his mouth. He fully intended to step down. He fully intends to comply with every law. He's had to, he's been on the receiving end of a bunch of heat and some negative attention, and I think that some of it was undeserved because he was misquoted. And I just wanted to report that back. I've talked to him. He's committed to his job. He's committed to doing the best job he can, and committed to the appraisal district being the best it can be. And I'm looking forward to working alongside him to help with the property tax protest this next year. And I just thought it was important to give that update. In this market update, I want to look into the past to see what has happened that has resulted in us being where we're at today, and then we're going to look into the future. So this is the actual MLS. This is the gold standard of data. If you see something different than what I'm showing you today, it's wrong. Now, home prices have remained pretty steady going back to 2003. And then you can see they started to climb pretty significantly starting in 2012, 2013. During the major housing crisis, we didn't see a tremendous dip when you look at Tarrant County as a whole. Your subdivision could be completely different than what you see on this graph. So it's really important when you're looking at making decisions for your specific house, if you're a homeowner, to reach out to a realtor, reach out to us, and get an idea of what's happened in your specific subdivision, because that's going to matter more to you than anything on the macro level. But I just want to show you this because if you're waiting for a good time to buy a house because you want real estate prices to fall, historically, we just haven't seen them fall, even through the worst of times. And these little zigs and zags, that nice steady cadence, those are the differences in spring and winter and fall and summer. And you can see every spring and summer, the prices are at their peak, and then fall and winter, they dip. Well, it's really, really difficult to time that right because you've got to market the house and get it under contract, and then it's got to close before the prices ever are reflected here. And as you can see, fall and winter of one year are much lower than fall and winter of the next year. And so if you're waiting and continually waiting, prices are just going up. And that's what I expect to see for the foreseeable future. And we're going to get into the future in a moment. But first, I want to just look at some of the leading indicators that are on the front end of the sales process. So what you're looking at here is the month supply of inventory. This is a theoretical number that says if no new properties are brought on the market, how long would it take for the existing inventory to sell off? So the reason why I like this graph so much is because it puts supply and demand together. And it gives us one number to measure that by. And so I just wanted to show you that we did have a change in the trend, but it didn't result in anything notable. It was something that happened, but it's not. It's what's happening in interest rates and as strong as our housing market has been, it's keeping inventory levels low, and so that change in trend is it was a blip on the radar, and it appears to me like we could be heading back down again. And when the lower the numbers get, the stronger the real estate market is. All right, let's look into the future. I've got a hodgepodge of graphs and statistics here that I'm going to share with you. I've just been saving them over time. And I'm going to go over some things here that you're not going to hear anywhere else, I guarantee it. So in order to look into the future and see what real estate's going to do, real estate is always a function of supply and demand. There are other factors at play. You got interest rates and different things. However, we're just going to keep it simple, look at supply and demand, because at its core, that lays the foundation for everything else that's going to happen. And a lot of times the supply and demand will overpower other market dynamics. So supply side, in Dallas-Fort Worth, we realize a price gain of almost $78,500 on a typical sale, which is $20,000 more than the national average. But here's what we're looking at. This is how much money people stuck in their pocket at the end of a sale. This is the housing bubble. People didn't stick as much money in their pocket. Now they're sticking a bunch of money in their pocket. And the reason why is because home equity is at an all-time high. So this is the amount of home equity, April 2018. You can count on it's higher than that right now. So people have a ton of money in their home. This is where the housing bubble happened. People didn't have much equity after that happened. Actually, this is the housing bubble, and then that's where it burst. And so people weren't sticking as much money in their pocket. That trough correlates with this trough or valley. And so let's keep looking here. Now, this is inventory. This is the amount of inventory on the market, and this is where the housing bubble occurred. There was tons of inventory, and now since we've been on the healing end of that in 2010 and 11, builders quit building so much, and so the demand increased, but the builders didn't catch back up. And right now we are at an all-time low of inventory. And so with this reduced supply, people having tons of equity, the demand, if the demand is strong, then we're going to be in for a really strong future of real estate market. So here's the demand side. Let's look at this. What causes people to buy and sell houses? Well, when households are formed, people get married and people have babies, they buy houses. I could show you statistics on how many single people versus married people buy houses, how many people with babies buy houses, and the statistics are overwhelming. People that are getting married and having babies, when households are being formed, people buy houses. So recently, we've had an increase in the number of Google search terms for wedding registry and baby registry, okay? And now, granted, the internet's still a little bit new, so people are getting used to that, but the newness of the internet does not account for this dramatic of an increase. We've got something going on here. Let's dig a little deeper. This is household formation. So the blue is household growth. The gold is annual completions of new construction, okay? So new construction, you can see we had the recovery after the housing boom. Everybody kind of, the builders kind of drew back. They quit building as much, and they've been increasing, but the demand has been increasing far more because you've got households forming, people coming together. The demand for housing is going up. Let's dig even deeper. This is crazy. What's causing these household formations? Something happened back in this era. Okay, let me go through this. The average home buyer is 33 years old. Okay. So if you want to look at, well, how many 33-year-olds are we going to have buying houses, you can just look back 33 years ago and look at the birth rate and see what happened during that time and try and anticipate what kind of future demand we're going to have 33 years later when the average home buyer is buying a house. Well, you can see the birth rates, we've got some dramatic swings here and some different things happen. You wonder, well, what caused this dip in birth rate? You might think, well, maybe that was the invention or advent of birth control, and that would not be correct because birth control happened in this downward period. But what happened 33 years ago, I think it was, let's see here, I've got a stat. It was, birth control was in 1960. January 1973, the Supreme Court made abortions legal. Okay, so 33 years ago, right here, you've got, let's see, 1978, I believe, or 73, I believe that was right here. It's one, my mouse is is pointing in several different directions, but it's right in this little area. And so then that stayed consistent. Then what happened in let's see, another court case happened in the next couple years after that, it was court case was Casey in Texas, made abortions a little bit more difficult, and so then birth rate started to increase a little bit, and then you just had natural demand of fertility and whatever. I don't know what else to say. The birth rate started to increase. So, but when you start looking at this dip right here, when these people became 33-year-olds, then that's where your 33 years later was 2006. So you had the dip in birth rate correlated very well with the housing bubble. Now, granted, I'm not going to try to make the case that the birth rate caused the housing bubble, but it's a function of supply and demand. As we saw in some other graphs, if either the supply or the demand are strong enough, then you can weather a storm. But what happens is if there's a problem with the supply side and the demand is not there, then the demand that will expose the issue. And that's what's happened here, is that we had some issues on the supply side, and well, the demand wasn't there, so it exposed these issues and caused this bubble to burst. Now we look at, well, where are we at today? Right here, when you start to see this increase in birth rate 33 years ago, then this is where it puts us. So you just look into the future, where are we going to go from here? The demand from just general population growth is going to be climbing significantly for the next couple of years. So I believe that that's what we're seeing in the search term homes for sale and in the household formations, is we've just got more and more people interested in having babies because of the natural population growth. Okay. Looking a little bit into this, let's see. This is the homeownership rate. Guys, homeownership rate dipped significantly. We're on the climb here, and so I believe that we're going to see an increase dramatically. When you look at how much equity is in the market, people are going to be taking that and upgrading significantly. We haven't caught up to 2005 levels yet, and so I think that just based on these dynamics, and especially right now, interest rates are so low, it's just staggering to see what's going on. I believe that the real estate future, no matter what you hear in the news, because of some of these dynamics at play here, is going to be strong. And there you have it. I just want to thank you again for your support. And thank you again to our clients. If you hear of anybody thinking about buying or selling a house, please send them our way. It's how we fund everything we do. We don't have one single review less than 4.9 stars. You can absolutely count on us. It'll be an honor for us to serve you. And you will hear back from me again towards the end of March, beginning of April, on the next steps for your property tax protests. And I've got some other huge projects I'll be really excited to tell you about in future videos. I can't wait. Until then, have a great day.